Hello, my name is Venezia Sanchez, and I'm going to be doing my fourth vlog on week 13, social research. And I'm going to start by answering question 3, which says, according to the book chapter Thinking in Print, what is research? Now, research is basically gathering information to answer a question that you have based on an overall problem that you need to solve. Now, it can be anything from something as small as what is the best makeup to cover up blemishes, and you just look something up, to a more scientific based research where you're determining how an antimicrobial affects a microbe by performing tests. Who does research? Everyone does research. Like I said, you could just be looking up another example, what type of paint is best to paint or long lasting, and you just research it. And that's why everyone can research, but not everyone publishes their research. Now, published research is usually at the intent of the author to share their information about a question that they think is going to be asked, or another question, like asked by another person who wants to figure out the answer, and they want to supply what they found when they asked that same question. What is the difference between research and opinion? Okay, opinion is it's basically unsound, meaning that it's not based on good evidence. It's based on poor evidence, and it can be based on fake research, which everyone has opinions, but some people could have that opinion because they're biased, or some people can actually have that opinion because they have true research to back it up, so you never know with opinions. But most research is often tested and performed multiple times if it has to do with tests to ensure the accuracy of the test, and it's most often proven by evidence. Not that you should always believe research, which we'll get to at the next part of the question, but that part of the question says, the author urges us to be amiably skeptical of most research we read. What does that mean? So to break up the word, amiably means basically friendly and in a nice manner, and skeptical means not easily convinced or to have your doubts about something. And putting it together, it's good to have your doubts but be nice about it, because then you can take what you see from the research into consideration, but you can also not be easily deceived by false research. So that's a good thing to have. And the next question, why should we do that, is so that we're not easily bought by research just because it's research and it's posted by many authors. You should, even primary articles, you should always be skeptical, because we have human error. Everybody makes errors. So with that being said, you should always second guess some research, but also take in what they said, just to compare and contrast what you get and versus what you believe and everything else. The second question that I'm going to be answering is question 4. And this question says, according to the video, quantitative versus qualitative research, what are the differences between the two? Now, to start with qualitative, basically the purpose of it is to explore the meaning of individuals' cultures, experiences, and their issues. And this is a type of research that you can't predict, which means that you can't form a hypothesis, because it's not something that you can be proven with numbers, because their results don't have numbers. It's more of a statement or words that are the result, and it's exploratory data, which means that you are finding out about the subject that you want to research. You don't know anything prior to it, and it's just for example, you want to see how people interact with each other, and that can't be summed up by numbers, and it can't be hypothesized, because you're trying to learn a new thing about that. And quantitative is an examination of the relationship between variables, and that gives descriptive data, meaning that the data is numbers, is what I meant to say. And this research is experimental research, meaning that a hypothesis can be formed because you can predict numbers. it may be wrong, but you have the ability to make a correlation. For example, cholesterol and blood pressure. So if you have high cholesterol, then you can guess that you might have, like, the patient might have high blood pressure. The next part of the question says, researcher A wants to find out whether the use of technological devices such as iPad and iPhone by children between 6 and 9 years old will lead to obesity. Should she use quantitative or qualitative research methods? I believe that she should use quantitative, just because the video brought up the variables that they have, and in this case there is an independent variable of how much the child from 6 to 9 uses technology, and then the dependent variable would be whether the child is obese or not in the future. And also there's extraneous variables that the video brought up, and it was like age, race, sex, and stuff like that, and this has an age group of 6 to 9 years old. So that's why I believe that it should be quantitative, and you can get numbers from that however you would like to do it, because hours of technological device use and then BMI could be used for obesity. The next part of the question says, should she use quantitative, wrong one. Research B wants to find out how children between 6 and 9 years old interact with digital content. Should he use quantitative or qualitative research? Why? So I said qualitative because you can't really quantify an interaction with digital content. Like, you can't quantify the child's interactive experience because that's not something that you could put a number on. So with that being said, it can't be quantitative. To end my vlog, I'm going to be answering Harley's question, is there any way to know a whole truth? I don't believe there's any way to know a whole truth, because if you're not conducting the research yourself, you really don't know where a person could have made errors, or even if you're conducting the research, you may not know if you made an error depending on what type of research it is. I know with scientific-based research, if you're doing bacterial lawning and any antimicrobial effects on the bacteria, it can be contaminated. There's so many things that can go wrong. So the things that they report may not be 100% accurate, but they may be close to accurate. So I feel like there's never a whole truth with anything research, because there's just so many extraneous variables that can contribute to the research itself, and just factors that can really impact your results. 2 questions that I like to propose are, if you're always supposed to be amiably skeptical about everything, how do people choose what they want to believe? Is that based on their biases, or is that based on, like, what else could it be based on? That's one of my questions. And another question is the media amiably skeptical when they're picking and choosing their information to present to the public about COVID-19? Or are they just choosing information such as death rates and negative aspects of COVID-19 to really scare the public? That's the end of my vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.